Humpnostication Proclamation.
Well, howdy, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Humpnostication Proclamation. I am proud to be joined today by the founder of the Fantasy Golf Bag, a Fantasy Golf Bag podcast co-host, the Masters Millie Maker, reigning and defending champion, two-time Fantasy Golf World Championship finalist, Mr. Drew Mathews. How you doing today, Drew?
Good, Hump, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm looking forward to talking some Pebble Beach, and absolutely looking forward to defending my championship at the Masters. Can't wait to win another million, but we'll see how that goes.
Hey, man, I'm waiting to win that first million, buddy. And now, let me tell you, I want to talk to you about this story now because it's a very interesting story. Now, let me just set the scene a little bit here. It's a Friday, I believe, and you're up in the beautiful country of Nashville, which it's got some beautiful hills and it's all green and stuff, and you're getting married to your beautiful bride. Now, in the background, the Masters is going on. I know you're not paying too much attention to it because you got your wedding going on, but in the back of your mind, you checking every once in a while what's going on. And then all of a sudden, it's Saturday. It's the day after your wedding. You're like, well, man, I got a couple teams here, but maybe I can make a run. Nothing special really going to happen. And then you're driving home on Sunday. Now, gets a little weird, right? You're driving, you're coming from Nashville down to Florida, and maybe your phone starts blowing up a little bit. You're getting notifications, and all of a sudden you're saying, hey, man, what the dadgum heck is going on here? I may have won $1 million, but you do not check your phone until you get home. Is that true?
Yeah, man, I couldn't check it the whole way home. I waited till I finally got the notification, I think, as we were pulling in the van, and it says how much you won, and congratulations, you won X amount. Just happened to have an extra couple commas in there, but yeah, man, I was getting the notifications on my phone, and I was scared to check it because you know how much 1 point drops here and there, and you're going from $1 million to 200,000 or 150,000. Like, that's pretty substantial. So I was like, let's just play it out. If I win 50K, that's fine. If I win $1 million, we'll figure that out as it comes. But yeah, man, I just driving home 12 hours and figured out when I got home that something big happened.
Man, I got to tell you, you got a lot of self-control, my friend. Now, I don't know, maybe you had like a navigation talking to you on the phone that you didn't want to mess that up. But I tell you, Hump, if I thought I was in the running for $1 million, I've been looking. I'll probably crash somebody real quick, like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I thought, man. I figured this is what's going to happen. It's some type of joke. I'm going to win $1 million, but I'm going to get in a wreck on I-4 coming down Florida. And, that's how it ends. And I didn't want that to happen, obviously. So yeah, man, I just, just imagined the good things and planned that I probably won $200 and, let the good things roll.
Man, that's a beautiful attitude, Drew. So, all right, one more question about this now. So you get home, you figure out it's really true. You just won $1 million in the Masters, and you got your very beautiful brand new bride that you're walking home with here, and you've been married, 48 hours, maybe less. How exactly do you tell her, by the way, hon, we just won $1 million?
I think I pulled up the notification on my phone of the DraftKings notification. I just handed it to her. I said, oh, look, or she saw me in the van laughing, right? Because I knew something was happening. And then I was, kind of giggling like, this is weird, man. There's something's going on. So when I got the notification and everyone left from the van, they took their cars home. We got upstairs in the apartment. I said, hey, check this out. And she looks at it. Is that real? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty real. She's like, unbelievable. I don't think either of us realized how real it was until, a week later or so. But man, that's surreal. It was crazy.
That is crazy, man. Now, did she know that you kind of like playing the fantasy sports, the fantasy golf and other things at that point? Or was that kind of her first introduction to the DraftKings at that point?
No, she's been around the block a few times. So Yeah, my first big win several years ago, I won 30,000 on an NBA slate, and we went to sleep, and I was probably up like 50K, and I was like, don't worry about it, it's going to go down. So I woke up at like 3 a.m, and I rolled over to check my phone, and she had woken up all of a sudden too. She goes, "What'd you win?" 30K. She's like, "Wow, this is great." So yeah, she's definitely got a feel for the DFS. She doesn't play too much, but she knows what's going on.
All right, so she's a veteran. That's good.
Oh
That's
yeah,
good.
oh yeah.
All right, man. That is just wonderful, Drew. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to talking to you again around the Masters time. And we're going to see if you can defend that title. I know
Yes,
you
sir.
want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. So now you are a former professional golfer. You played collegiate golf. You played a little bit in the pros. So I'm interested to get kind of a few takes from you on course history. First of all, course history in general. I mean, people are like, it's very important. Some people say it doesn't exist. I mean, it gets a really hot button topic on the golf Twitter where we kind of existify. Now, what is your take as a former professional golfer, a man who has played the game at a very, very high level? Is course history real?
It is. From a playing aspect, it's definitely real. I mean, there's certain courses where it's a course history for those players, and some guys it doesn't matter. I mean, we see that time and time again. So my take on course history is you look for guys that trend in a poor fashion or a good fashion, one way or another, and those are the guys that have course history in some form or fashion. There's some guys, man, that'll show up to random events and, they'll finish 10th, and the next year they miss the cut. The next year they finish 30th. Like, it's up and down. But you see guys like Adam Hadwin at the Desert Classic. He hasn't really had great form, and he goes to a place he's won. He loves it, or he's finished really high. He's going to play good. There's guys that come to Pebble. Obviously, DJ is an elite player, but these guys go to golf courses. They got good vibes. It just leads to your mental game, which golf is really like 90% mental, to be honest. And man, it's definitely real. I don't focus all my attention on it, but when I see a guy that's, oh man, he's finished, top 15, three out of 4 years or something, that's good course history. I definitely tune into that.
And you do believe, now Hump never has played at a golf at a high level, but I do believe that when a dude shows up at a particular place where he knows he has played well multiple times, that he just feels good, man. He knows he can do certain things on certain holes, and it just makes the game come easier. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Guys look forward to it, man. Like they think right now, guys looking forward to Riviera, coming up. They know that event's coming up. They're trying to get through this event. They're trying to play the best they can. But when they get to Riviera, they know they're going to play well. They feel good there. It just happens. It happens. I'm kind of surprised the guys that have poor course history don't avoid those events. But we all know, I mean, every week on the PGA Tour is a milli maker. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to skip an event. But yeah, man, they look forward. They know what their schedule is coming up. Zach Johnson at the John Deere Classic, another classic example. He knows when that thing's coming up. He's excited to get back to TPC.
He is very
run.
excited. He wants to get paid. He wants to get paid.
That's right.
Second place money. Give it to me every year.
Yeah. He finishes top 10 like 8 out of 10 years, man. He definitely likes that place.
Now, one more question on this course history thing. Then I don't want to put it to bed because you are the reigning, defending Masters world champion. Now, and I have heard some people talk specifically about the Masters because the course is set up kind of the same way, similar each and every year. And it's a unique course that is like at a place like that. Is course history more important, or you still view it with the same kind of wide lens?
A little bit of wide lens. I think for that type of course, I weigh course history higher. Well, there's not many majors, especially where you go back to the same course. The Masters is the only one. But yeah, when you go to those events, like the Masters, where it's the same field pretty much every single year, like my lineup last year for the Masters Millionaire Maker was basically almost completely course history besides Patrick Reed. You got Charlie Hoffman, who's played well there, Bubba, Ricky, Jordan Spieth. Like it's kind of an obvious lineup, right? But yeah, I definitely weigh course history quite a bit at the Masters.
A guy that Hump is kind of being locked on here leading up to the Masters is a guy who was in your lineup. I want to know, are you going to play him again, Mr. Russell Henley?
I probably play him at the Masters. I'm not going to play him this week too much. But if you're talking Masters,
I mean at the Masters.
At the Masters? Oh man, I think I got to give all those guys a little bit of love.
You got to run it back.
I got to. We already joked about that a couple times. I'm gonna have to run that lineup back. We'll see what happens.
All right, man. Well, let's move on. Let's get away from the Masters. Let's talk about the Pebble Beach, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Bill Murray will be out there, a whole bunch of country music singers, all these kind of wacky people out there, some football players. It'll be a good time. It's a fun event to watch on TV. Jason Day likes it because it goes nice and slow, and that dude takes forever. I love you, Jason Day. You know I do. All right, so I'm going to hit you up now with the guys that I'm looking at FanShare Sports. I'm thinking, hey, man, maybe they're not getting too much love. They could be low owned. I'm going to go down through the pricing tiers. I'm going to tell you who I like. You're going to give me your take on them. You ready to play? Humpnostication Proclamation. Let's do it. Okay, man. So now most of the stats I'm going to talk about here is over the last 2 months. Some guys got 16 rounds, 14 rounds, 12 rounds. Some guys have less, but I'm focused in on the last 2 months here. Now, the main guy up in that upper pricing tier from $9,000 all the way up through the roof that really, really, really is catching my eye is Mr. Matt Kuchar. Right? I love this guy. He's a very, very tall and awkward man. But, dude, he is like locked in right now. He's played 4 tournaments in 2019. He's won 2 of them. He finished 4th in the other one, finished 19th in the. I mean, the dude is locked in. What is your take on Mr. Kuchar this week not getting too much love?
I know. I can't do it. GPPs, even GPPs, I can't do it. 10K, I think some guys have argued, it's a bit pricey for Kuchar. And we've seen him actually priced higher than this, like the RBC Heritage, we've seen him up there. So I don't hate the price, but I don't like him here at this golf course. And it's a shorter golf course for all 3 of these. But Kuchar's a pass for me, man. He's really never putted well out here, and I just feel like if I'm gonna spend 10K on somebody, I'll just go up a little bit. So Kuchar's a pass for me this week.
You want to get up to one of those bigger dogs, Mr. Day, Mr. DJ.
I do. Yeah, I don't think they're too far off from where Kuchar's at, and Kuchar's had a good run, no doubt. But I think this week, paying up for one of those guys is going to be the ticket.
Okay, man. Now another guy I want to touch on. The people who know Hump know I'm very fond of Australianized golfers. They talk with this really, really cool accent that I love. And someone that I'm glad to see that's coming back looked really good 2 weeks ago. He's the most handsome man alive, Mr. Adam Scott. He figured out something with the putter and he leave the flagstick in and all this stuff. Man, he looked really, really good. Do you think that was a one-time thing, or did the dude figure out something about how to putt?
That's my thing, man. I don't know if he's figured out something how to putt or not. Like, I was looking back at his scorecard last year. The dude had 37 putts in round 1. Like, that's more than 2 putts a hole. That's more than 2 putts every hole. So I don't know, man. He's definitely putting better, but so far right now, I think Adam Scott's a fade. He obviously tee to green, he's got it, but he's really never played well at this event. Even back at the U.S. Open in 2010, he was kicking around pretty well. But man, the putting on POA, 37 putts jumps out at me, man. I'm probably going to skip on Adam Scott this week.
All right, I got one more high-price guy for you. You're shooting down all my guys, but I love it. Now, this guy, he kind of did me dirty last week, but I don't even get mad at him. Mr. Phil Mickelson was in that main lineup with some other really, really well-performing golfers, so he hurt me a little bit, but I ain't mad at you, Phil. Now, Phil, like, he wins here a whole bunch of times, 4 times. He's been second, I think, 2 times in the last couple years, maybe 3 years. So he loves this place. He looked really, really bad on the Saturday, though, Friday last week. Didn't even look like he wanted to play, like he was disengaged. I'm starting to think it's something going on in the outside world with Phil. What's your take on Phil this week?
No, I'm definitely going to take a piece of Phil. So I'm not going to shoot down all your guys, man. Phil Mickelson, 9,600. This dude's played here pretty much every year I've been alive. He's got 10 top 10s and 22 starts, I think. The dude loves it. Course history or not, man, I think he's a good fit on this golf course. He's obviously playing well off the Desert Classic. I'm not going to really count out last week too much. I'm not going to take that into effect. So, Pebble Beach, Phil Mickelson, I think that's a match made in heaven.
All right, baby. So we can turn the page on last week. I like it. All right, let's turn the page on those high-priced dudes, and let's move down into the next pricing tier, the $8,000 range. Now, a guy that I'm going to touch on just briefly with you because I know you got love for him just like I do. And I don't know if he's going to be really low owned this week. He cost me some money with the moves from Fantasy National because I thought he was going to be low owned and he wasn't. But this dude just plays all the time, Mr. Sung J M. Now, I saw you tweeted about him. When's this dude going to stop playing? He just plays. And the very, very smart, the very sharp Mr. Mike Miller, Smart Golf Bets, he said, don't worry about it, man. These guys from the Far East, they play 17, 18 weeks in a row. That's just how they roll. Are you going to keep riding Sung J M until the wheels fall off, or are you taking a break?
Dude, I'm gonna ride him again. I feel dirty because last week I thought that was his peak. You know, I thought he was gonna take some time off, and you know, Mike's a super sharp guy, and he says these guys play 17 weeks in a row or something crazy. And I mean, I could see that back in junior golf days, but man, these guys are on the PGA Tour. You got to take a break and all the travel and stuff. So I'm gonna ride Sung J M again this week. He's obviously been striking really well, hitting a ton of greens, and he's still not that expensive. So I'm going to jump back to Sung J M. Let's see if he can keep this going for 17 weeks.
Hump cough. Do you hear that?
I did.
Good Lord. Good thing I might have to edit that part out, but it might be funny, so I might keep it in. I don't know. Holy Lord. Thought I was going to die there. All right. Sung J M, that was an easy one. Now I got a hard one for you. All right. Now this guy came out like a ball of fire, and everybody got a little bit excited. And then he kind of stinkified the last couple of weeks, 2 missed cuts, 62nd or something last week. But Mr. Cameron Champ, this dude can drop like crazy bombs. I don't know. He's driving this like 340-yard average or something really, really weird. Now, if this kind of weather forecast stays the way it is, where it's really wet and really sloppy, I feel like these guys who can just bomb it are going to have a little bit of an advantage. Are you willing to play Cameron Champ, or is he just too weird right now?
Dude, he's in a weird spot. I'm not going to play a ton of lineups. I think in GPPs he's worth a chance. But yeah, I think he's been trending in a bad direction with his irons. Obviously, last week he didn't drive the ball well, and that really limits you with your irons with the rough. But he hasn't really been doing much around the green. So that was kind of my ticket with. We didn't talk about Jason Day, but some of these guys, you know, if they're not hitting their irons that well around the green, they just crush it. And Cameron Champ's not doing a ton well right now. And we all know his talent. I mean, he can surely flip it around this week. But yeah, for me, I'm just going to skip on Cameron Champ for now. And, you know, hopefully he can get some form coming in and we can get him before the Masters or something.
Now, you mentioned the man. I have a man crush on Mr. Jason Day, so I can't just kind of let it slide. I got to ask now. So a dude like him whose approach numbers and stuff don't look really good when you're looking at the statistics recently, you're okay with him because he's just, I don't know if there's a better guy around and on the green than Jason Day. So you're kind of okay with him here?
Yeah, I talked about that some last year, and it's a really weird dynamic because you get guys that are studs like DJ, and he looks great ball striking wise all the way through, and you get a guy right below him, and he looks like trash. And you look at his results here, and it's like, well, he finishes top 4 every year. I mean, I think strokes gained total is something to look at from time to time, and Jason Day strokes gained total against the field, he gets the job done. Whether that's around the green or you know he's losing shots with his irons, I don't care. Jason Day is certainly a guy I like, especially if this weather gets nasty. I think he's a pretty decent grinder as long as he doesn't got vertigo or something. But yeah, I like Jason Day.
Hey, man, even when he falls down, he gets back up and keeps playing.
He'll win it.
Yeah, come on. That's my man right there. Hey, I got one more in this $8,000 range for you. You actually already mentioned this, man. Mr. Adam Hadwin. You know, he would kind of like looked like trash, came to a place you mentioned that he likes. He plays well. He did well last week. Now, I was surprised. I brought up the numbers on Fantasy National, and I was looking at the last 2 months, and he was ranked number 1 in strokes gained off the tee, which I was like, whoa, that's not how I'm thinking about Adam Hadwin. But he was 8th in the ball striking, 15th in DK points. So, I mean, Adam Hadwin, nobody's going to play him. Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay to play some Adam Hadwin. And it's funny that you mentioned the off the tee, man, because when he gets to driving the ball well, he's not the longest, but he's sneaky long. And when you're hitting fairways, you're gaining strokes on the field as far as that next shot into the green. And then looking at courses that he's played well with smaller greens, you talk about RBC Heritage, Valspar has some tougher greens. And Adam Hadwin, I think, is a pretty good play this week. So I'm going to definitely be playing him in GPPs.
All right, man. I'm happy to hear it. I got one out of you again now. All right, now 7,000. We're moving down. We got some wild names down here, but the guy that I'm looking at, and I'm ashamed to say, right? I've been looking at him kind of every week, and I'm like, man, I should probably play him based on the numbers. And then I'm like, nah, dude, I can't play that guy. It's Mr. Michael Thompson. Well, all of a sudden now he's 8th in DK points over the last 2 months. He's 22nd in the field and approach over that same time frame. I mean, is this a guy, is Michael Thompson a guy we can play this week?
Yeah, I mean, it feels it's scary, but he's been so consistent. He's got 4 top 20s in his last 6 starts. The dude's a pretty good ball striker. The last couple terms he's played in, he's gaining a lot of greens on the field, which is definitely good to see coming into a course with such small greens. So yeah, man, I'm gonna entrust in Mr. Michael Thompson this week. I'm gonna hope his ball striking stays up and we can cruise to another top 20.
I'm with you, man. I gotta write it because I keep saying I'm gonna do it and I don't do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Now that I'm gonna do it, I might. Well, we won't talk about that. All right, man. You gotta take on this Ho-Sung Choi character. Like, what is up with this dude with the swing and all the wildness? I mean, what's up with this guy? Talk to me about him.
Dude, the dude's nuts. What's funny is his backstory. He started playing golf when he was like late 20s, and now he's playing on the PGA Tour now. It's pretty cool. But man, I can't really get behind all the spin around and stuff like that. It seems like a pretty goof move. So it's funny because I feel like, over there on the Japan Tour, I don't know what their, normal routines are. They're they're twisting around the greens. Maybe they're spiking stuff up, but like coming to America, you're playing on the PGA Tour, man, if he gets in a group with like Patrick Reed or somebody and he gets pissed off, he's spinning around and he does it right in his line or something. I don't know. I feel like something really dramatic could happen this week. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. As far as Ho-Sung, I feel like he's a pretty good, entertaining guy. I don't think he's going to play terribly great this week. I was looking at some numbers from the Japan Tour. It didn't look too promising, even with his wins. But yeah, he's definitely entertaining. But I got a feeling like, through this whole storm, something will happen. Some guy, maybe he gets paired with Sabatini and he's a slow player or something, and Sabatini gets pissed and walks off. I don't know. It just seems like a bizarro move for the PGA Tour to give him an invite, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch him play. I am not excited to play him. I won't be doing that, but I do want to, take a look at what this guy's doing. It's kind of funny that, he looks like me swinging the club, except I'm not doing that on purpose. I just can't get my feet in the ground.
Like even if you and I played together and you're spinning around, I think you're an idiot. And if I was doing it to you and I'm a decent golfer, you'd probably think I'm an idiot. So I just don't know how that's going to flow on the PGA Tour. We'll see.
All right, man, we're way down. We're way down at the bottom of the barrel now. We're in the $6,000 range. None of these guys are going to be real high owned or anything, but there's a guy down there, kind of like Michael Thompson, that over the last couple of weeks, I've been like, he's very interesting, and I'm really interested in him this week. It's Mr. Wyndham Clark, okay? He's 33rd in the ball striking. He's 14th and off the tee. He's 19th around the green and 19th in the DK points. He's got an 18th finish at the Desert Classic and a 35th at the Farmers. He's 6,400, I think. Can we put him in there?
So I think it's funny with the cheaper guys this week. It's kind of like we saw the Desert Classic. You could basically guarantee 3 rounds. And some of these guys are so cheap, and a guy like Wyndham Clark makes a decent amount of birdies. We'll see what the conditions are like. Maybe birdies are going to be tough to come by, but he can certainly be put in some GPP lineups. I'll probably limit him a little bit. His around the green numbers have looked a little bit suspect, and I think that's definitely going to be important this week. And so I think he's in play. And again, all these cheap guys, for the most part, you could probably throw in some GPPs. If one of them sneaks through a cut, you're looking pretty good. And if they play 3 rounds, $61, $62, $6,300, they're probably pretty close to paying off their price tag. So I don't have any problems with Wyndham Clark, but he's probably not one of my favorites down there.
Are you more inclined in an event like this where the guys are guaranteed the 54 holes unless they, withdraw or something, get injured? Are you more inclined to go with the full stars and scrubs approach?
I'm leaning that way. I try to wait as far into the week as possible, and you try to have a little bit of game theory to see where people fall. Like my initial impression is, if I can fit in a couple studs with some cheap guys, maybe everyone thinks that. So you maybe want to go a different way. But with 3 rounds, I feel like you could take some gambles on some cheap guys. There's a couple down there like Julian Tulane. I thought he was a pretty cheap guy. But yeah, you're absolutely right. 3 rounds, that's an extra, maybe 15 to 20 points for these guys that if they would have missed the cut for 36 holes, they wouldn't get. So I think you can certainly take some more risks and get these cheap guys to fit in a few more studs over 9K.
I like the idea. I mean, that's usually how I go in these type of events because you're going to get the 3 rounds out of them. But I don't know if like in an event like this where maybe it's going to be harder to score and birdies aren't as plentiful, will finishing position be more important? I guess it would be, but that remains to be seen, man. Now, Drew Mathews, we're moving into the next part of the show, and it's going to be called, this week, I'm going to call it Drew's Dude. Instead of Hump's Hero, this is Drew's Dude. I don't want you to worry about ownership. I don't want you to worry about price. None of that stuff. Give me a guy that you really, really are salivating to play. I heard you say, you build lineups. You got 5 guys in there, but you never put the 6th in until you're ready to party late Wednesday night. Who's one of those 5 guys that you're just putting in there already?
Dude, I'm going to ride with Tommy Fleetwood. I think he's got a super chance to play really well this week, and I think he's almost using this as a tune-up for the U.S. Open. I got a really good feeling about him at the U.S. Open. Super good ball striker, obviously, but yeah, man, Tommy Fleetwood will be my guy this week. I expect some good things from him this year.
I really like that play, and based on the numbers that I was looking at FanShare, there's not a lot of people saying they're going to go with Tommy Fleetwood, so that's very, very interesting. I like that, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, ride them. Get them some low ownership, I hope. And, you got guys like DJ and Jason Day right there. They'll definitely gather some ownership. So I think Fleetwood, no course history, playing on the European Tour the last few weeks, the last year pretty much. I think he'll go under the radar, and I like him quite a bit on this type of golf course. And if the weather gets bad, we know the European narrative, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, this is true, man, and he's proven he can rack up the DK points. So I'm loving
right.
Drew's Dude, Tommy Fleetwood. You heard it here first. All right, man, Drew, this has been a great time, and I'm very excited to know that you are coming back. We're going to have a little 3-man show for the Masters, and we're going to bring you back because you are, as I pointed out, the reigning and defending world champion, of the Masters. Ric Flair, you come in strutting like that, you say a Masters champion, baby. So I'm looking forward to talking to you again then. Until next week, you know what to do, folks. You keep your eyes on the prize, your hands up on the wheel, and your daggum bums are humping.